Good morning. I'd like to bring the May 3rd, 2023 Planning Advisory Commission meeting to order. The official start of this meeting is 9 a.m. If you'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please silence or turn off your cell phones. Thank you. I remind those in the audience and those watching on TV that this is the first hearing of any rezoning, text change, or special exception request brought before us today. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case by planning staff and ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of the request. We will then give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request or to inquire about said request. The commissioners will have any needed discussion on the case. Once a motion is made and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendation. If a favorable recommendation is given, then the case is forwarded to the city council with 2 independent recommendations. If the planning department makes a recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of the letter stating the denial to notify clerk of council that they are requesting to be placed on the city council's agenda. The city council of Columbus will hold a public reading called the first reading. Said council shall consider the case, review planning advisory commission and planning department recommendations, and hear discussion on the matter. Council will make a final decision at a second public meeting called the second reading. Our first agenda item today is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Does anyone have any comments or corrections regarding the minutes? All right, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
All right, so moved. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. That brings us to our first case of the day, REZN 04230630, request to rezone 1.34 acres of land located at 910 Talbotton Road. Current zoning is residential office. Proposed zoning is neighborhood commercial. The proposed use is medical research. Ryan Clements is the applicant. This property is located in Council District 7, Kogel. Could we please hear from staff?
Good morning. The current land use designation for this property is public institutional, and the future land use designation is office professional, and this use would be consistent with the existing land uses. It is served by all city services. There are going to be no buffer requirements for this. The surrounding zoning to the north is general commercial, to the south, residential office, to the east, neighborhood commercial, and to the west, residential office. 19 property owners were notified, and we did not receive any calls or emails regarding this. On this piece of property, there's one tax parcel that is split residential office and neighborhood commercial, and this rezoning would make that all one zoning category rather than one tax parcel being split.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners concerning the staff report? All right, would the applicant please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us a brief overview of your request?
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Ryan Clements. I live at 1534 Eberhard Avenue, and I serve with Aaron and Clements as the owner's project manager. And in this case, we're requesting rezoning of this small parcel. Part of the story here is that some of the zoning information we see is that it already was neighborhood commercial, and it's a fragment of a larger parcel that somehow in the transaction between Authority and Piedmont and all somehow didn't make it quite along through the transaction when the owner bought the property. So we're coming to you now to get all of the parcels properly zoned. The development will be, as it stated, a medical research facility. If you know the old Azalea Trace nursing home, you could say that it probably needs to be improved. So this will make that property, bring it up to current standard with a proper parking lot and all the amenities that go with it.
Any questions from commissioners for the applicant? All righty. I'm going to say this even though there's nobody in the audience. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak in favor of this request? I see none. Does anybody in the audience like to speak against this request? I see none. Is there any other additional discussion among commissioners before we make a motion? All right, would somebody like to make a motion? Yes, Mr. King.
Be glad to make a motion. REZN 0423-0630, request to rezone 1.34 acres of land located at 910 Tarleton Road. I make a motion that we approve this case based on the fact it's consistent with surrounding land uses.
Make a second. All right, Mr. Baker. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right. It is approved.
Thank you all. Very
All right. Commissioner, all right, is there any other business we need to discuss before we adjourn? What do you like? Any other cases? One coming up? All right, sounds great. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn? All right, so be it. We're
We are done.
adjourned. Thank you.
That may have been a record.